Hi, welcome to Talking Books and Stuff, the program that talks all about books and writing and stuff. Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
Hi there, it's Dennis again with Talking Books and Writing and Stuff. Today we're talking about songwriting and singing and stuff like that and building your own house with Jake Vaadeland. Jake, how you doing today out there and where are you? Cut Knife, Saskatchewan?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm in Cut Knife, Saskatchewan today.
Well, we're just down the road in Radisson, so there you go.
Oh,
I don't know if the weather's the same because Saskatchewan, it changes no matter where you go. 5 minutes later, it's completely different. So,
yeah.
So Jake Vaadeland is known far and wide as a self-taught musical or multi-instrumentalist and a songwriter from Saskatchewan, of course. Currently, you're in Cut Knife, but Jake, you didn't grow up there, did you?
No, I grew up in Big River, Saskatchewan. I went to school there. I grew up in the area. We had my parents had a ranch called Sturgeon River Ranch out in a place called Park Valley. So I always just tell people I'm from Big River area because nobody's ever heard of Park Valley before. So,
well, we've heard of the Sturgeon River Boys because they're your band, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, Jake, growing up there in the Big River area in Park Valley, when did you first pick up an instrument and start to play?
Very, very young, actually. Not that I was any good at it, but I know there's a picture of me. They say I started with singing, and they say when I was about 4, or whenever I could speak, that I was singing word for word. I walked the line and stuff like that, and I don't know how that was happening, but at anybody's house or something, they'd say I'd always get up on the coffee table and give her singing Johnny Cash with a little toy guitar or something like that. But it didn't take long, and I had the ukulele. Now, I think I made a lot of racket on it, but I thought I was good anyway. And it was my miniature guitar for my 4-year-old body to use while I was singing. And then got a little older, and then you get shy as you get older when you start to realize that other people you go to school with care about about who you are and stuff. So I sort of shut up a little bit with my music, and I tried learning mandolin, but again, I made so much racket on that, I had to give it up, and I wouldn't sing for anything. And all of a sudden, I moved from Big River to Cut Knife here, and I decided I wanted to play the banjo. And that was maybe 6 years ago. And so that's when everything started with the music. I thought, hey, I just want to, play the banjo. I don't need to sing, just a hobby type thing. And it turned into a few performances. People wanted to hear me play the banjo. And then I met a fella or started working with a fella that I grew up with in Park Valley named Ira Amundsen. And we wanted to work together. We started playing together, but we wanted to work together in the band. So I figured I'd need to start singing and playing guitar. So I picked up the guitar and we started singing together in the cabin I built in Park Valley. And it's all come to where it is now, starting from there. So,
wow. Can you remember? What is your? Lots of guitar players have different favorite guitars. What kind of guitar do you play?
I play Martin D28. That's the sort of the stereotypical bluegrass guitar.
And banjo? How about your banjo? You still play the banjo?
Yeah, I play the banjo. I play a Huber banjo, and it was made by Steve Huber in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Handmade.
So is that like a custom job, sort of?
Somewhat. The fellow, a friend of mine that had it before me, sort of a little bit of a mentor when I first started out. Michael Corcoran is his name. He had the banjo, and actually I'm pretty lucky I got it because people told me, you had to pretty much get written into his will to get any of his instruments, but he sold it to me. miraculously. And so I've got that now. I started out with an Epiphone, a cheap Epiphone from one of the music stores here in Saskatchewan. And then I got that from Michael. And when we went, I ended up going to Nashville actually just for a little while with Iro a few years ago when I worked with him for a camp. And we made a stop in Hendersonville and went and saw Steve and showed him the banjo and stuff. And he said he remembered working on that one. And he's a very successful fella for making those banjos and stuff. And they really have a good antique sound. He tries to make them as close to the pre-war banjos as possible.
And that's Jake and Ira, but you guys don't play together anymore, is that right?
No, unfortunately, he had to move to Oklahoma. And for a while before, we realized that because we were stuck in school and stuff like that, and he had other things to do on the farm life still and at his sawmill, so we couldn't quite get as many gigs as we wanted to. And so I knew I'd need a backup plan, so I started with the Sturgeon River Boys. I decided I'd call them. And it was a different band completely when we started. We had our first show at the Capitol Music Club in Saskatoon. And I tell you, I think it was about not even a week after that show that it was all over the news about the pandemic and stuff and all that. So we never played another show for a long time after that. Not Ira and I or the Sturgeon River Boys, but the Sturgeon River Boys had been formed just before in 2020. And then he had to move to the States, so I restarted the Sturgeon River Boys again, and I stole my dad's band. He had sort of a country rock band with a bass player and an electric guitar player, but of course I didn't like electric instruments, being from a bluegrass community. So I got used to the electric guitar, but I made the bass player pick up the upright bass and learn that, and now he's wonderful at what he does now, and I wouldn't want anyone else doing it for me. So we've been going strong ever since with that for just over a year now, and we sometimes have a banjo picker that comes along with us, and if not, then we get a steel guitar player. We're still looking for a committed fourth here in the near future. So.
Wow, that's the Sturgeon River Boys with Jake Vaadeland. But Jake, you're well known around these parts and probably around the world nowadays as the retro man with a retro plan and the best hair in the land. How did that song come about? It's a great, great tune.
Well, thank you. Yeah, actually, that one, a lot of my earlier songs came from school, my experience in school with other kids and stuff around. When because I suppose you know young people, peer pressure, all that type of thing. And I guess you could call me lucky in a way that thing never really got to me. And I never did really give in. I was not one that liked to conform. I tried for a few years because growing up on the ranch, I had a specific style that I grew up dressing that way and living that way. Half of our house was heated with wood out there and stuff like that. But when I come to Cut Knife, all the younger people were dressing in the newer clothing and stuff and newer hairstyles. So I gave that a try for a few years, and I was so uncomfortable I couldn't stand it anymore. And I finally decided that I was better off to be myself, and it would be easier to deal with the hatred for it than to have to try and give in and live my life the way everybody else was. So I went to Value Village and picked up a bunch of clothes, $50, and I started dressing like that. And of course, just as I thought, the young people started nagging at me for it and bugging me daily. and so, but I never let it bug me because I was quite confident with it. But they never did give up. So it finally got to the point where I had to quit school because another thing that happened is they would tell me that music would never work out for me and you had to go to university and all that kind of stuff. And that's all I'd hear every day. So I finally left and I went online and I finished school myself. And by doing that, I was able to finish early without all the nagging and stuff. And I ended up writing those songs, lots of those songs, including Retro Man, in the mornings before I'd start school. And I came up with that song based on how the young people that I knew were towards me and stuff, based on my style and the way I was going about things. And been happy with the results from it ever since. And it's, I'm happy to say that it seems that some other people have even been helped by the song too. I get lots of compliments on sort of just promoting being yourself and not conforming to the standards,
Well, yes, this is Jake Vaadeland. He's the retro man. Yeah, that's the thing with being a kid, is that you want to be different and look the same at the same time. So it's really quite a paradox, You want to be different from your parents, but you don't want to be different from your friends, but then you want to be different and not different at the same time. It's really weird. We're speaking with Jake Vaadeland, and I want to get in here and have a shout out to Better Off Duds in Saskatoon, because I know Nikki from there. So you go get some of your stuff from Better Off Duds?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of my stuff comes from Better Off Duds, and we actually have a jingle for Better Off Duds. We advertise for them, and a lot of the fellas get their suits from there that you see us wearing at the shows. And so we always, in the shows that are the proper length for it, we always include an advertisement section for the store. So
that's great. What am I trying to say here? What the first professional gig you ever had? What was that?
Oh, well, I can't even remember. The very very first one, or the first professional one?
Professional one, let's say.
Well, off the top of my head, I'm thinking I don't know if this was the first one, but we played a drive-in show in front of the E.A. Rawlinson Centre for the Arts in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. Everybody came in the parking lot and parked their cars, and there was probably 100 people there, or more than that, probably. Sorry. And we played. They had a stage set up there, and we played there. And it was the first. It ended up being the first sold out in that season, or the only one. I can't remember if it was the first or the only one. And so we were happy about that. And then a little while later, we played in the Rawlinson Centre in the soft seat theater there. And we always loved playing in the soft seat theaters. We're starting to do it more often. But as far as my memory goes, that's the first one that comes to mind, is those two at the Rawlinson Centre theater there in Prince Albert. They were big deal for us, and we're happy to continue doing shows like that now. So
that's great. And that is Jake Vaadeland. And Jake and the Sturgeon River Boys, how would you describe your sound to someone who's never heard it before?
I suppose it's bluegrass at heart with an electric guitar, so it has a rockabilly sound, and we do add in some country style stuff, so it could be the old time country. You can pretty much call it whatever you feel it is, but I guess it's overall described these days as Americana, if you have to pick one word for it. But it is bluegrass at heart. When I sit down and write a song, it's usually not as of late, but it usually is a bluegrass song. But as of late, I have been writing some jivey ones, sort of 1950s sounding stuff. But it's got the country rockabilly bluegrassy.
Now, when you go out on tour with the Sturgeon River Boys, I love that name. Is it you can dance to it? The music you guys provide?
Oh yeah, and sometimes I even get dancing on stage to it.
So that's great. We got to see that. When you look back, who's your favorite musical artist of all time, if you have one?
Of all time, Lester Flatt.
Oh yeah.
From Flatt and Scruggs and the Foggy Mountain Boys. Yeah, he is has been the biggest inspiration to me and the show and the type of show that I put on.
So that's Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. Now, what instrument does Lester play?
Lester played the guitar, and not many people play the style he played anymore, and I decided to pick up that style, and it uses a thumb pick and a finger pick, but of course I keep another finger pick on the middle finger, because Earl Scruggs, his partner, also played banjo.
Yeah,
and you need three fingers for that. But when he played guitar, he also used his three fingers, so sometimes I play a three-fingered style guitar that was inspired by Earl Scruggs, but when I'm playing rhythm guitar during the singing, it's all inspired by Lester Flatt.
Gotcha. Now, everybody will, of course, know about the Beverly Hillbillies song, so there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jake Vaadeland is with us. He's received 4 2022 Saskatchewan Country Music Awards, finished second in fan voting for the Best Saskatchewan Album of 2021. So is your plan just to be a pro musician from here on out?
That's the plan. I'd like to do it for the rest of my life if possible. As long as I can make my living doing it, that's all I ask for, and the rest is the icing on the cake.
And you're going to be a retro man from now on, I assume.
That is also the plan. I wouldn't want to change that for anything.
Well, I'm jealous because I wanted to be a retro man, but I never did because I had to follow the crowd, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
What's your website, please? Spell it out for us.
The website is jakevaadeland@gmail.com. It's JakeVaadeland.com.
And that's jakevaadeland@gmail.com. He's got a website up there. You can check out his music, his upcoming shows, and I'm sure there's going to be more and more as the years go by, and we'll hear a lot from you. And maybe when you get your first gold record, we can do this again. So thanks again, Retro Man Jake Vaadeland, for this chat today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
People laugh and stare as I walk by in my long tail coat and the tie. So I just tell them this when they ask me why. I'm a retro man with a retro plan. I'm a retro man with a retro plan and the finest hair in the land. I'm a retro man with a retro plan. I like to be myself as I can.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.